All right, welcome to our call for the 4th of May. Hope you guys are doing fantastically well and had a fantastic weekend. We've got an exciting call ahead of us today. I hope you guys have been enjoying looking at the signal chart. What an unbelievable trend that we have been witnessing, since the market opened, and so beautifully highlighted by our signal chart. We'll jump back into that in a few minutes. All right, welcome to our... And if I can take my echo away, that'll be good. All right, and let's have a look at what we're going to be covering today. So first of all, we'll look at our last week's results. So a bit of hit and miss in the group, I guess, for last week, but also some very positive results shared. So we're going to cover that. And we're also going to look at our game plan performance. So thanks to the guys sharing in our Discord chats over there. We're also going to cover the game plan for the week ahead. In fact, we might even cover that first on the call because I've got a few other things to put in here. And then we're actually going to cover a manual trading template. So I've always stressed that a very important part of trading is not only just focusing on the automated trading, but also focusing on manual trading, because then you can call yourself an all-round trader and you can actually get to understand the market better. Because, believe it or not, if you are very effective with your manual trading, your automated trading will greatly increase too, because you're able to see what's happening on a signal chart, and then you're able to choose direction bias on your automated strategies because you've got a very good idea of where price is likely to go next based on the different signals that you are seeing on your charts. And we've just earlier today released a brand new jumpstart video. So it's a nice and short video. It's just under 12 minutes. So really great for one of our a really great promotion for this Jumpstart program, which, as some of you know, it's a subsidized 3-month subscription to get people to really understand the DTB system in all its nuances, from setup, manual trading to automated. So hoping we're going to get a really good response from this video, and a huge thank you to Al for putting this together for me. You can imagine the amount of time that was put in to actually put this out. So it's going to be a really good benefit to new and inspiring traders, and also those who've just had enough of all the crap that's on the market. And finally, you can work with something that is truly magnificent. All right, now we'll go back to our screen sharing. Okay. So we'll jump onto the results first. So I started the week off. I did some manual trading this week because I was really trying to perfect a manual trading setup for you guys to be able to use effectively. So I was between doing other things. So I was trading this chart over here. You can see there's all my entries over there, and I actually started off reasonably okay, but then I let 2 positions go quite negatively against me. I was relying on a baseline break that didn't quite materialize, and the price returned to the baseline. So I ended up going like $1,800 down, but then slowly but surely I was able to claw back, that negative result by just taking some really good signals on the signal chart and, just bring it back down. So and eventually come down to break even. In fact, I made a bit of a profit on this, after this session anyway, which I documented later. So I guess the point is, even if you do experience some large losing positions, or you end up on a bit of a losing streak, most people will just blow their account after that, because they'll be like revenge trading, and it'll be like, just going crazy. And, everyone's been there. I've certainly been there many a time, especially in my earlier years. And, we just think the market's against you, and then you just revenge trade, and then you end up digging yourself a bigger hole and blowing your account. So important to, just really put time and effort into the signal chart so you can understand what are strong signals and act on them. But we're going to cover that nicely in a few minutes. Okay, so again, there's some results shared. So I'm not going to go through all of these. Again, just documenting some of my trades over there, some scalping positions with breakout markers left behind, during last week. Very small trades. I mean, there was just small little scalping positions, and, just like that. Again, there's some more over there, so thanks for sharing. I really like this little spreadsheet you put together, Bruce. Well done on that. It's very good to document your trades. If you are able to accurately document your trades, document your performance, you really can hold yourself accountable, and you can really see, what is going wrong, what is going right, where can you improve. And, this is the ultimate way to actually progress and take trading seriously. So well done on putting that together. It's a really fantastic thing to do. Continuing. And that's all nicely in there. Okay, so game plan results. We didn't make a lot of profit last week on our game plan. As you know, we've had quite crazy market activity. But, that's all been documented in there. We did have some really good trading days too. So on Thursday, I ended up on 682. Bruce documented 1,374. But, we ended up both in the green. So we're still holding the line with our game plan. And remember, the game plan strategies that we're trading only trades from 9:35 till 11. So it's a very small window of the day where the automated strategies are in full swing. I should check. I've got a message coming in there. Sorry, someone's messaging me. Okay, all good. I'm just checking if there's any issues. Okay, excellent. No problem. I've asked people to message me during the call if there's any issues with the call, but that wasn't it. Okay, where was I before I was rudely interrupted? Okay, so yeah, game plan results. Let's continue with that. So good. I mean, we're documenting that. And I think, Bruce ended the week on only a $98 profit, But, that's sometimes how things go, right? Which is why it's very important not to rely solely on the automated for, the game plan for that small little window of time. Obviously we've had some really, really successful weeks. We've had some losing weeks and some weeks where we've just kind of floated, but we've had such crazy batshit activity in the US, that has completely screwed everything up and confused everybody. So, we can't expect plain sailing every single week, especially when, there's announcements coming out and there's big mouths talking a lot of crap. It kind of flushes the market, and it's not really what is being said on the news. It's what the manipulators are doing behind the scenes, because they can very easily manipulate and cause a lot of corruption with their trading, because or they can just blame it on, oh no, someone said this or someone said that. That's why we reacted. So they're able to mask their huge manipulation around, news events or tweets or, things that have been said. So, once that settles down a lot, we'll see, there's less chance for them to hide their corruptness and their manipulation when, there's not a lot of crap going on. But there always seems to be crap going on. But anyway, not as much as the last few weeks. Okay. Go back to my slides. Let me just see. Look at this beautiful signal we got on the signal chart earlier. Arrow, breakout marker left behind, boom, boom, boom. Back to the breakout marker, serving as resistance, bouncing up. Gold mine. Oh yes, okay. So a brand new Jumpstart video for our Jumpstart program. So this video has just been uploaded on YouTube, so please check it out. Anybody interested in really taking trading seriously, this is for you. If you just want to stuff around, don't bother, because this is a proper guided, detailed program that's going to make people consistent. Otherwise, there's no point in even having it. And it comes with a money back guarantee, which is bloody amazing. All right, so we're not going to look at that because that video is there. You can go and watch it on yourself. But what we are going to be doing too is we're going to be looking at some manual trading. So last week, it could have been last week or late the previous week, I launched a manual trading template. So I really want to cover a bit of that on this call to see if it can help you guys, just with a new, or just help you with a really good way of trading manually. All right, so I'm going to go to my workspaces. I'm going to just close this specific workspace, the indicator sample, and save that. Now that's going to automatically load up my game plan because I had that workspace open in the background. So our game plan for the week ahead, the document has been updated. Just make sure you're on the 3rd of May assembly. So that's inside the script. So you run the script exactly what it says over here. Very, very simple. In fact, we covered this also so nicely in the Jumpstart program. So we actually go through this in detail in our Jumpstart program to make sure, and I don't speak as fast as what I'm speaking now, and I really go through this in detail so that people can actually get set up and it's like, oh, wow, this is actually a breeze. All right, and we've got our NQ templates. So that's one of our templates this week. So this week I've chosen to go for a much more higher frequency trading setup. So we should see a lot more trades this week, and it's going to be like bam, 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 bam. It's going to be like up and down, up and down, up and down. Entry target, entry target. It's gonna flow nicely. So that's my wish I'm putting on this week with regards to the market. So that's NQ. That's some historical performance. We've only optimized the most recent market data because we want to establish the heartbeat of the market. So that's what this is doing. NQ is the same. You're going to have some high frequency trades happening this week. On that, that's the historical performance over the last couple of weeks for that. The ES also, I've gone for a smaller bar size. Shit, I'm not sharing my screen. 1 second. Damn it. That'll help if I share the screen, right? Okay, 1 second. Quick play. There we go. See, I need a technical advisor sitting next to me over here, man. Okay, again, from the top. So going back to our game plan. So there's our charts, NQ. There's our historical performance for the NQ, MNQ. Same thing over there. ES, like I said, I've gone for a smaller bar size to really get, some good scalping positions in there. That's the historical performance for the ES. And then also the MNQ for the Medina Wick Trader. So our Medina Wick Trader did fantastically well last week. But what I've done this week is I've actually made the trades to space out a little bit more. So instead of them entering all on top of each other, I've put a bit of a space between the trades. So I've just activated the space out trades on the strategy. So we should still see phenomenal results on this. It's just going to stop it from like entering a lot of trades in one section. So that should be fantastic. And then that's the screenshot of what it looks like for the week ahead. So, and that's what we're looking at here. Okay, so after the call, I'll load this up on my live account, and then I will continue documenting the trades, for the week ahead. Okay, so Workspace, I just want to close this Workspace. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so that's that. And now I'm going to go to that specific workspace that I created, which was called Scalping Ideas Manual Trading. Okay, right. So there is a nice template that I've created for you guys, and it's called Scalping Ideas Manual Trading. So it's part of the script. It's there available to all members. So when you load up on that, it's going to put charts on different screens. I mean, I've got 6 screens that I work with. But this one here, I've kind of been able to run it very, very effectively on 3 screens. So what I've done, and it can be done on 2 to be honest, but what I've done is I've put the 2 charts over here, these 2 charts on one screen. I've put my control center and my strategy analyzer on another window, and then I've put my signal chart on its own window because that's the one I really want to focus on. Okay, so there's a few components to this which we will look at in a moment. So always wait for the system to stop to finish calculating. So as soon as NinjaTrader is calculating, you don't want to touch anything. Okay, it's like it just causes issues because everything in NinjaTrader is working through one thread. Think of that like hourglass where you got this big bowl of sand and you got this tiny little little glass tube, and then it goes back into a bigger one. That's how NinjaTrader works. Everything's working through this tiny little thread, and it kind of causes issues sometimes. So everything is trying to process through this this tiny little thread that it's operating on. So give it a moment to actually catch up to where it needs to be, and then we will continue. So there shouldn't be a lot of information on this chart. This one over here. So I'm clicking on things. Oh God, I'm breaking the cardinal rule. Just wait for the thing to finish calculating. Go make yourself a cup of coffee. See, you click on something, NinjaTrader goes, start. It's like pain in the ass. But we've learned to deal with this. If I click twice there, it would have crashed NinjaTrader. So that's what we've got to deal with, guys. Fun and joy. Fun and games. Anyway. And it probably helps. It doesn't really help that I had, the game plan loaded before. I had a whole lot of other workspaces loaded before and haven't restarted the server today. So always make sure you restart the server every day using the script because it's going to clear out all the historical data. It's going to make sure everything's nice and clean. So do that. That would have definitely helped in my regard today. Okay, so let's look at what makes up this whole signal chart combination. So first of all, it's going to have the control center. I mean, obviously you need the control center. That's going to be on there. You don't need to be viewing the strategy tabs. You can have the account tab on like this, but it's not something we really have to have present on the screen. Okay, the very next thing that we're gonna have is our signal chart. So we're going to be making decisions based primarily what's on the signal chart. Now, when you're starting off a trading week, sometimes the market could be slow, it could be very fast. And you also could be trading at different times throughout the day. So if you're trading, for example, the Asian session, which we're in now, you are okay to switch to a data series of a 20 and a 20. Okay, so do that, apply to the chart, see what that is presenting. So we're only using a 20-20 data series. We only need one day. And, during the week, Monday afternoon, Tuesday, Wednesday, you can load 0 days. So you can even just, instead of loading one day, just load 0 days inside that section there. And then that'll just load a lot less data on the chart because we don't need to look at a whole lot of historical data when we're working with this approach. We just need to be looking at, the current data for the trading day and, for us to be able to evaluate that. Again, this would have worked so much faster if I had, restarted the server before doing this, but that's okay. So I guess this goes into planning your day. So what are you going to be doing for your trading day ahead? You're going to be running are you just setting up your computer to run the game plan? Then you obviously you run your script, which clears out all the junk inside NinjaTrader, and then you load up the game plan workspace and you run that. So that's the one way that people do. But if you want to do a trading session before, then you would obviously run the script, start NinjaTrader, and then select like your manual trading template, and then only have that, basically in NinjaTrader's memory. Because remember, every single thing that you open inside NinjaTrader is going to be stuck in the memory. It's going to keep blogging and clogging up NinjaTrader's memory. So try work with it in different, sequences. So, focus on one thing at a time. Try not to have too much actually loaded. And I might actually, I don't want this thing to delay the whole call. But yeah, this is a perfect example of, NinjaTrader just being overclogged, basically. So as soon as you see this, very best thing to do is to close NinjaTrader, run the script, and let it update and clear everything out. Should not be taking this long at all. Okay, so there it's catching up. Okay, so the first chart, like I said, is the show me the money signal chart. Then we've got another tab on here, which is showing us a trending baseline. So trending baseline is a beautiful thing, especially if the market's trending, because what it's going to do is it's going to form a baseline for price, and then it's going to form these wicks. And then those wicks are either going to form or go up to a new baseline or down to its existing baseline. So exactly what's happening here. Currently, the price is 103 ticks away from the baseline, and if it touches this 205, it's going to form a new baseline. So it's a nice approach, a nice look, gives you a clear picture of price without all the noise attached with minute bars. And here is the flat baseline. So you can see the price is trending down, 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 and now this is where the price is on the flat baseline. So same thing over here. The price is either going to return to the baseline or it's going to go up here and form a new baseline going up. Again, we've only got today's data on here, but you don't need to have a lot of data on here because you just need to know where the current baseline is of price. Okay, so that's the first thing. That's the first thing to understand what the setup is. The second thing that we have is the strategy analyzer. So what do we use the strategy analyzer for? Okay, so this here is for us to determine the heartbeat of the market. What is the current heartbeat of the market? Now, we've got a very, very, very unique set of strategies over here because we're able to optimize and use tick data and very small bar sizes to do strategies. A lot of companies, they use daily charts with a strategy analyzer. I mean, if you have to run strategy analyzer on daily charts, you've lost the plot because you can't even trade daily charts continuously because the market closes and data feeds drop. It causes huge issues. So no one trades daily charts. Anyway, so what we do over here is we open up the strategy analyzer and we use the analytical strategy one, and we're going to optimize the setting A and the setting B. So just two very simple settings between 2 and 10, 258, nice and simple. We're going to include the trade history and we're going to include the indicator on the chart. We're not going to use stop and target ticks because we purely want to identify where the brick walls or the support and resistance is in the market. And it might help if I disable my camera so you can see what I'm actually looking at and not be covered. So we're going to be, like I said, we're going to be optimizing the A and the B settings, no stop and target ticks, like I said. Okay, so, and then here we go. So we're going to, because the market only opened recently, it's now 8:23 p.m., we can just go, you know what, we're going to optimize the market. And you could go from 8 p.m. or you could even go from 8:30. So if you're going to start the session going ahead, you can use the time from now, or you can just go back a little bit and say, well, I'm going to optimize, okay, from 7 p.m. and 3 a.m. is fine. So again, we're just trying to establish what is the current heartbeat of the market. So 7 p.m. to 3 a.m. and we're optimizing all these days, which is fine. The signals, you can go all 4 signals or you can just do the 2. That's fine. I might even just go, I might go true on these. So true, 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 true. That's the signals. We're not doing daily stops and targets because this is not a strategy that we're actually going to run. It's just to give us the current heartbeat of the market. We're selecting our instrument NQ, so you can do this on MNQ also. And over here, today is the 3rd. we're only going to optimize the last weeks of data, the last week of data. So again, this is to identify what the current heartbeat of the market is. That's all it is. We're not trying to overcomplicate things. And we're doing max net profit, and if one entry is fine. So we're going to run this. So the benefit of running a smaller sample of data is it's not going to take a long time to run. And, you know, as you're going throughout the session, every maybe 30, 40, 60 minutes, you might be running the strategy analyzer again if your charts are not displaying price as, you know, as current as possible with regards to the heartbeat of the market. So that's what we're going to look at also. It's not a complicated process. It's a very simple process. But it's, you know, this is all to aid us in helping us, or to aid us in taking manual positions. So you see there, it takes about a minute to run in total. And this is what it's telling us. Okay, so over the last week, if this strategy was running, you know, this is what the results would have been. Okay, we're not crazily interested in the total results, but what we are trying to do here now is we're looking at the chart tab. Okay, now the chart tab is going to give us, you know, where the current brick walls are of those specific settings. So what you can do over here is you can say, okay, well, you know, this one, it's got a much lower drawdown. It's showing the brick walls very nicely. Look how beautiful these brick walls are showing. So like that is a really good setting. So you can scroll through a few of these through these results, and, you know, load them up. So as an example, so what we'll do, so I'm going to go like this. I'm going to go 734. So you see, if you hover your mouse over the parameters, it tells you setting A is 7 and setting B is 34. It's only like 1, 2, 3, it's 4 and 5 down. So 734. So what we do over here is we go to our chart like this. We go to the indicator, which is the SI indicator. So we've got to load that chart. Remember, it's the same size as we're using. So 2020, it's an NQ 2020. It's got the same days loaded also. And we're going to go, and I forgot the number that I was looking at. 734. So we're going to go like this. We're going to go 7, and we're going to go 34. 734, okay. Now this chart over here is going to match this chart over here. Okay, so go back into, I'm going to go into the data series, and 27th of April to today, break at end of day. Okay, so that's the one that I set up. I just want to refresh this. And I just want to check, why is that not lining up exactly like it's supposed to? What have I done here? 723, 723, 734, 734, SI brick wall indicator. I'm just checking a few things over here. 734. What have I not done? I think I have I wonder if it's got to do with the, yeah, so that is supposed to match. So something is not 100% right over here. So that is definitely supposed to match. So what exactly is happening here? Let's see if I can figure this out. I wonder if it's something I've done. Okay, so NQ, I can't initially pick up what the story is. And I wonder if it's got to do with the timing of the day. Okay, so that's probably what it's going to be. So slight change of plan. And I think this is because what I've done is I've used a specific time on the chart. So not a problem at all. So I'm just going to go to my template over here, and I'm going to click on save, and I'm going to call this 1NQ. Okay, yep. So I'm going to save that, go back to my trading chart, which is this one over here, and open this up, go to my indicators, and I'm actually going to remove this one, apply and OK. And I'm going to go to the strategies, and I'm going to go analytical strategy 1, and I'm going to go template, load, 1NQ, load. Okay, so that's putting the indicator values in there. So it's putting the value indicators in there, and all we have to do now is activate the strategy on a sim account. So I use, sim 1 as one of them. So apply and OK. So putting that in place over there will be the 1. Again, I'm not seeing the exact same result. So this is a little bit crazy. I wonder if my data is corrupt. You know what I might just very quickly do? I might just actually close NinjaTrader. And I don't want to run the script because I've just updated some workspaces, and this PC handles the workspaces and the savings and stuff. But what I can do is run the script anyway, just to clear out the data. So let me try that out. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my the script file over here, which is this one over here, and I'm going to run this. And the option there is number 3. So 3 is to clear out the database, clear out all the corrupt data. And then as soon as I've done that, I'm going to run the analyzer again and just give this a whirl. Oh, you know what? I've just realized the thing. Look what NinjaTrader has done over here. Son of a. What it's done is it hasn't optimized up until current price. You see, it says 455. It hasn't actually included today's data. So I actually missed that. I was wondering why that was a bit out of whack. But even though I selected today's data, and this is one of the the things with NinjaTrader, it's like a bit of a fruit salad. You do everything right, and it's like, well, why isn't it giving us the the result? So I've got to switch this date to the 5th of May even. So that's what I've quickly got to do. So quickly pop that in there. So run that again. And that's going to just give us the updated results. And I think that was actually my fault because I had the wrong date in there. Oh my gosh. Guys, I told you this was going to be brilliant, didn't I? Okay, anyway, so let that run. So sometimes you can put the correct date in there and it will still not give you the results up until the current price. And then you've got to slightly adjust the date. But this was actually my mistake there. So, I have so many issues with NT that I kind of a default that it's them. Anyway, okay, so there we go. Coming back to the thing. So there's our 734. Okay, so again, going back to the chart, and I'm going to try just the indicator this time. So I'm going to remove the strategy like this. And I'm going to go to the indicator and I'm going to go 734. So go to the SI indicator like this and go 7 and 34. Okay, so now if we look at the strategy analyzer and that, it's now the same. Okay, so that was just me. I stuffed up, guys. I'm sorry. I do make mistakes. I definitely make mistakes. So you can see that the chart on the strategy analyzer is matching the chart on the indicator. Okay, so that's the one done. All right, so we've got 734 on there. Now we can go through our results over here and we can look for another one. So the reason why I use 2, it's just like, okay, well, this just gives us a a good indication of where those brick walls are, and we're trying to find settings too that are giving us very accurate brick wall positions. Now again, we're not extremely focused on the results themselves, but we're looking at what is the current heartbeat of the market doing, what are the signals looking like on the specific trading chart. So you might spend a bit of time looking through this, and you don't want to get one that's got a lot of trades, but you do want to find one that is pretty consistent with with the brick walls. So once you've reviewed a few of these, and if you need to start again, you can do that, but look through and discover, okay, where are these brick walls? We've got 734 already. We're not going to use that one over there. We are going to use another one like this one over here. So 222 or 742. Okay, so we can go, just 1 second. And we don't want to use one that's very close to the previous one either. So it's just a few very small little adjustments that we can make. So like that one there is 838. Okay, so we're going to our next chart over there, and we're going to go into our indicator settings, and we're going to go over here. We're going to go 8 and 38. Okay, so this is where we're looking at, we're still adding the SI indicator, because the SI indicator is the one that is working with the analytical strategy too. Okay, so now that we've got our two charts, we can actually minimize this, and we are looking at these two charts over here. And the reason why we've added this, and we don't need to have the chart trader activated on them, we just need to see where those brick walls are. So once you're at this step over here, this is where you can actually increase the size of your window. Again, you don't really want to have these windows too big, because they're not as important to be scaled, that we just need to see what the values are on them. But our main window, which is our show me the money signal chart, this one over here is giving us, is where we're going to be entering positions. So as we saw earlier, we saw the breakout marker left behind, the price bounced over here, came up. So all what we're trying to do over here is we're trying to see, okay, well, where are the current brick walls if an automated strategy we're looking at price, and compare that to our signal chart that we're looking at. And by combining this, we've got more of a likelihood of entering trades, more effectively, because we've actually got a few things to confirm our entries. So you can see over here on this last brick wall, the price is going up. Same over here. So if we were looking at entering positions, we would only be taking long positions. And, this is the chart that you would be activating your chart trader on. So whatever trading account you are going to be trading on. Now, remember, we haven't activated the strategies on here. We just activated the indicator. So whatever live trading account you want to trade on, you could use. I'm just going to, example, use 5 at the moment. Okay, so we've got that. And then we've got our ATM strategy. So we've got ATM strategies set up here. Now, if you don't have any, or you don't have a suitable one, you can actually create a custom one, and you can make this like a 60 stop loss, and then a 60 target, and then you can save as a template, and you can call it so 60 stop loss and 60 target. So we've got that saved over there, and we go okay. And as soon as you've done that, you've actually got that in the thing over there. So what we got over here is we can now make decisions based on what we're seeing over here. And it might just be like little scalping positions, and we might be just entering, or trying to target longer entries. But like as an example, we can see where the price is right now. We can see this. I mean, we're obviously in the cloud at the moment for the trend following. But if you were looking at scalping even just one bar, you could take a chance back up to the top bar. Because remember, we've got guaranteed price levels over here. So, the indicator is currently telling us on these two charts that the price is likely to go up, even if it's just, currently, and our signal chart. So ideally, we want to wait for breakout markers to be left behind, and then, make entries based on what we are seeing on our signal chart, but having extra confirmation from here. And you might even have situations where the one indicator is showing sell signals, but the other one is showing buy signals. Then you got to make a more of an educated guess on which one you're going to rely on to make your entries on this chart. And then, as an added bonus, we've got our trending. There's our trending baseline. So you can see the price was trending. It went and formed a new baseline there. So often it'll form a new baseline, come back a little bit, and then go back. And then we've also got our flat baseline chart. So you can decide now, am I prepared to have this price trade to the next baseline, or am I going to enter a position to trade the price back down to this baseline? Well, if this price was like this now and these were below, then you would be trading it down, because that's a higher chance of the price actually coming back to the baseline based on what we're actually seeing on this chart. Again, you don't have to load a lot of details. You can load a little bit more if you wanted to, but not necessary on this. As the day progresses, it's going to fill up. And then as soon as you've got your workspace set up like this, whatever it is, all you need to go is into your control panel, and you go workspace, and then you go save. Now, if you're going to create your own workspace, you can go save as, and then just make it, manual trading, and then take away the DTB and go, my NQ, and you can go 20_20 as an example. Okay, and you can save that. So then any updates you make to your specific template will be carried through on this. Okay. So that's the idea with this. And you might just end up just doing a few little scalping trades like this, because you've got a little bit more at your disposal over here, because you've got a little bit more telling you what these indicators are providing. They're providing a little bit more confirmation of what type of trades should I be entering. So if they're both green, you should be looking, okay, well, I'm going to look for long entries. And if you activate your global crosshair, this is something you can also do. You can activate global crosshair on all of your charts like this, and you could look at exactly where price is by moving from the one chart to the other. Okay, so sometimes that could be a little bit, it could screw with your eyes. So then you could, just change this to local again, and you can do them each individually. But generally, you could, so whatever works for you. I mean, whatever works for you with regards to, how you want to display price, how you want the crosshairs to show. I like to have the crosshair on this specific chart because it just lets me, be able to see specific levels, and I can move my stops and targets as I go along. So say, for example, you're watching this chart for a while, and then you're making trades on this, and you notice, and you just want to be sure, I just want to make sure that these brick walls are still showing correctly. Then all you do is you come back to your analyzer like this, and you don't have to change any of the details, like with regards to the setting, the A and the B. You just need to look at your trading time if you specifically want to trade that. If you specifically want to change that, you can change your trading time, so the trading hours. And then once you've done that, and obviously your dates that you're looking at, but then you can actually run that again. And this could be 30 minutes later, it could be an hour later, it could be 2 hours later. It all depends on how long you're planning on trading for the session ahead. And, some of you might say, I'm only going to trade for 1 hour. So I'm only going to run this once at the beginning of my session to see where those latest brick walls are. And then based on, those, I'm going to enter trades on my signal chart, because at the end of the day, our signal chart is still, even on its own, is extremely, extremely powerful in being able to enter positions, but having that extra confirmation or those extra 2 charts at the bottom could provide extra opportunities, because you could trade price off brick walls. You could trade small movements in price based on like where those brick walls are actually presenting. So just running the strategy analyzer one more time over here in the background. And there, so we don't want to get one that's got too many, switch overs like this. And because that's using all the signals. We don't want to get one that's all switched over. So we can look at this. So 734, that's still showing us the current right. We've got 346, which is going to be too busy. And maybe you do want to have one that's a little bit busier to say, well, let me see if I can get quick turnovers. Have one that's showing fewer trades to be able to give you those longer, series brick walls where the price it enters less positions, and you can have one that is slightly faster to give you like those immediate turnarounds in price. So like a 50 and an 83. So we still got the 742. So 734, and so this one could be the next one. So 742. So you could come to this one over here now, and you can go indicators, and you can change this one to 7 and 42. Okay, now that's going to plot like that, and then you just minimize your thing, and you go. So what we saw over there is the price. We didn't change this chart at all, but we saw the price come back, touch the brick wall, and then bounce off it. And then we also had a the shadow trading leave a breakout marker behind too, which is its own volume breakout. So I am a bit sad that we didn't actually watch that in real time, because I was in the strategy analyzer. But like, this is the type of thing that we can do. And the benefit with this also is when you're entering a position on a brick wall, you only need to put your stop the other side of that brick wall. So any of these positions that you're entering, if you specifically entering right on a brick wall or a bar after a brick wall, is your stop just needs to be below that brick wall where a bar would close. So your stops are reasonably close, but you can have slightly larger targets, because you are you've got a lot more confirmation of where the support and resistance levels are around the price, based on what you put on in your indicators. But ultimately too, if it makes a lot more sense just to watch your signal chart, I mean, even just with the signal chart itself, it's given us fantastic opportunities and entries. But I thought this is just a nice little way to give you extra confirmation for your specific entries. And again, obviously we've got our trending baseline where you can use as targets and stops too. So, I mean, you don't want to enter close to the baseline and then have a stop right over here, because it's a huge, risk reward deficit. But you can certainly use the price either returning to the baseline, depending on what it's looking like. So during the US session, you might switch this to a 30-30 bar or a 40-40 bar, and then you would make this a 400 bar. So you would make this a 5-400 or a 400-5, or even a 300. So there's a few small tweaks you can make to this. And then the NQ, your signal chart, you could make that like a 30-30 bar. So it's all dependent on the type of market that we're currently in, how active the price is, to be able to determine which bar sizes to actually use. So I think this is a really nice little setup to use, and give it a try. See what it looks like on your side. See if you can take some good little scalping entries for it. And use these type of charts over here for, closing positions. So as an example, if a bar closes over here and then switches to red, well, there's a good chance or a good opportunity to say, you know what, I think this move is over. I'm going to, exit this position and wait for the next signal. And then you can monitor your signal chart compared to your brick wall chart, and then evaluate what exactly price is doing. I think that's about all we can add regarding this. So yeah, I encourage you guys to load it up and get a good feel for it yourself. So there we've got a divergence over there. So we might be inclined, hey, should we enter any sell positions over here? Well, possibly not, because we do have these two charts giving us signals. We've also got our, again, you could be scalping for small moves over here, because very, very often after a bar closes with a divergence, the bar is going to drop at least one. That's very often the case. But we might be slightly delayed, or we might be slightly hesitant based on what we are seeing on the other charts. But nothing is stopping you from having a small 20 tick target, 20 tick stop, and just predicting, hey, I'm going to have one bar worth of profit. That ends up being like a 20 tick profit. So say, for example, we did that over there. We entered a sell over there. We can say, you know what, generally after a baseline break, we have a bar go down, not a baseline break, a divergence arrow. We're just going to target, one specific bar. So that, that's something that you could do, but, obviously don't go and load up 10 contracts on that, because, we don't have a extremely powerful signal over here, because we do not have any of our breakout markers left behind. We've still got our momentum line above price. So, it's not going to be a very high probability trade. All that we're using here as our guide is, after an arrow, we often get a bar breakdown. And there's only probably a 50% chance of that actually hitting its target. But, we could do that. That could be, one of the trades that you take. Or you could say, you know what, we currently have got green bars on our chart. We're going to wait for a breakout marker to be left behind, or a price bouncing off a specific level, and then we're going to act on that specifically. So very important to have tight, if you're taking chances in the market, have very, very tight stops. Especially when you're entering a position like this, because it's not a very high probability trade based on everything that we are seeing on the chart. And, I think in my Jumpstart program, what I also did is I covered like your very, very, very first trade that you take, mark it out on the chart instead of actually entering that chart. So you can see where you are with regards to your specific, your trading for the day. So that's going to hit its stop. It's actually gone up. So that's out. So there we go. So that did not work out. So if you look at all the arrows, basically, a lot of them have actually, actually gone up after that. So over here too, we could be looking at this. We could be looking at, what the price is doing. Again, we haven't got, see this orange little dot over there? That means that there's a brick wall that is forming there, but it could be a continuation brick wall like some of the others are. So often you'll get a brick wall and then a continuation brick wall, which is what that could be happening right over there. So those are going to constantly update in the background. So don't just jump into trades for the sake of jumping into trades. Wait for opportunities to come up, and probably don't enter the low probability ones. Ideally, these breakout volume markers are going to give us the absolute best opportunity. Obviously, the market is quite slow at the moment, but even with that, I still believe there are decent opportunities to enter the market. Here we're getting the price come back down again. We're right on the edge of this trend following over here, which has historically held the price nicely. But we are looking at, a few different things on the chart. And another thing we could also look at is our previous brick walls where the price has reacted around. So that's another thing you can look at on your bottom chart. But like I said, we do not have to have them very large, because it's not as beneficial to see what the price is doing. So over there, like it's amazing. Just when I have one more bar, which it often does, take out stops, and then they're going to push the price down. So here we've got a red over there. Now, another thing too, in your indicator settings, if you don't want to see the arrows pop up, you can actually just take them away. But I did take them away. They're still plotting, so for some reason. So like that one there would have been a target, a trade basically. But still, we're not seeing the best actual signals from this. This is the only one that has given us a reversal at this stage by showing us the red. So that would have been a better scalping trade there, because we actually started seeing the bars red, while it was actually before that even broke down. So I guess it's a good thing just to be watching the chart. So, and then you can also say, what, I'm going to use limit orders to enter the position. So if the price touches over there, I'm going to enter a sell limit, and and that's my entry over there that I'm prepared to basically enter on. So that's another option of what can be done. Instead of specifically entering buy market and sell market, is choosing specific areas where you want your trades to enter. I'll just see if this one fills. And again, when this does fill, you can select again, where your stops and your targets are. And then also, set yourself up some rules too, so you can also work with specific guidelines where you're going to say, what, if our trend following is in a downwards direction, so you might say, what, I'm going to switch over my trend following, because the trend following over here is on a slightly higher value. So we've got a 50 on here. You might say, I want the trend following only to be on a 20 to match the bar size. So that's something that you can decide to actually do. And then what that'll do is it'll just adjust your trend following indicator so that it is, just following the price a lot closer and then giving you a much larger overall picture. So let's just let this load up, and then I think that's all we need to cover for this call. Again, a really good idea to, just flush out NinjaTrader, let it restart, so you don't have to have, lags with actually updating the charts and the indicators on the chart. And obviously, once you've loaded your indicators, you don't need to go and update your signal chart, because that's, basically what you're going to have going forward for the session that you're going to be trading it. So there's quite a few things that are being calculated in the background over here. And I've also got my breakout volume calculating on each tick. So it's really consuming a lot of resources initially to get loaded. But once they are loaded, they can run quite effectively. Okay, so that's giving you a slightly finer trend following. So, you can be using that for, for more of the scalping environment to, determine those things. So that could also be another thing that you do. You only take long positions when you got smoke, and you only take short positions when you got water. That's why I called it the smoke and water template for this. So, that is one of the criteria that you can have. So have some good trading rules around it. Have some good, just good methods of entering positions, and then, using the confirmation biases of these charts over here, just to give you a bit of extra information as to regards to what trade to take. Okay, give us another moment to just complete. Okay, and then there it's starting to just come right. So we've got a little bit of bar coloring there for the change of direction. So we just basically entered that last position, just one bar too early. Entering on the next one would have been a lot more beneficial over there. I must say this has taken a lot longer than what it should, but like I said, I had the game plan loaded, I had a few other things going, and I had not restarted the server. I also ran all the strategy analyzer optimizations for the game plan last night, and that's all built up in memory. So I think I've got a lot of stuff going on in the background that I haven't cleared out, and it's just another lesson for me. I've got to make sure that I restart the server before the call, so I don't have all this backlog of issues that NinjaTrader holds on to. So another minute or so, and then we should be done. I just want to see what this chart looks like, how those indicators look. This one seems fine. You can see how this chart is updating. Okay, the price is there. The brick wall changed, the coloring changed for the indicator, which is good. So have that like that, and also this one has also changed right now too. So right now we've got the exact same thing. We've got a red. We've got both of these charts telling us that that's the brick wall, and this is where we can start looking at entering our positions, and then you're moving your stops and targets accordingly. And then when you're in a position, it's a good idea to say look at your flat and trending baseline. Say, well, okay, we've got a good signal over here on this as red bars. You know what? I'm gonna go for the baseline. You can say, okay, well, that's going to be my target. I'm going to, instead of going, just for that, I'm going to target the baseline. And you look at the price of that, you go, 2075. You look at that. Okay, what is that looking like on my signal chart? It's not looking the greatest on here. Okay, but what does it look like on the signal chart? Okay, well, this looks fine on here. 2075. It's a little bit past where the Fibonacci level is, so that's a little bit dangerous to do, because often the price is going to react around these Fibonacci levels. So while you're on this chart, you can watch the price as it actually continues. So there's our fib level. So you're gonna look at now. Okay, are we gonna have breakout volume markers left behind? Are we gonna have anything that's going to make this price reverse? Because as soon as we see these bar colors change on our bottom charts, or we are seeing breakout markers left behind against us, then obviously we want to bail out of those positions. So here we're on a fib level 38.2, which is not the very strongest of fib levels, and we can also look at what the price has done around those fib levels before. So there has actually been a lot of activity around those fib levels. So has this price just come back down to retest this and bounce up? It's a decision that you have to make, but these other charts are going to give us help on that. And I always like to just switch between these charts and just see, okay, where is the price in relation to the baseline? What is it doing? How many ticks is it away? It's 101 ticks, so it's on 50% basically to the next baseline. Okay, what is the next one doing? Ooh, it's 40 ticks. It's only got 40 ticks to go before it touches this baseline. So what is more likely to happen here? Is the price more likely to go and touch this baseline, or is it likely to go up? So, you're looking at these type of things while you are switching between your charts, and then you're deciding, okay, what am I likely to do over here? Do I want to bail out at this fib level? Maybe instead of bailing out at the fib level, I might just say, what, if the price comes back and closes up, then I'm prepared to exit this position. And then you got a smaller target. At least you're profitable for that trade. Or at any time you can say, do I want to bail over here? Again, it's a good idea to be looking at what our previous charts have been telling us. So there's a previous brick wall. Is this price going to bounce up from this brick wall? We're at a previous brick wall on both of these bottom charts. So we're watching what is happening with this price. And of course, at any time, if you're unsure, you can just say, what, I'm happy with that. I'm going to close that position and wait for the next trade. But generally, if you can give it a little bit of room to work with and specifically rely on the brick walls, the markers being left behind, and especially if you have a marker left behind around a fib level, this will be the chart that you'll be watching continuously going forward. And of course, you can switch between these to have a look at them because at the end of the day, the price is either going to return to the baseline or it's going to form a new baseline. That's the only thing it can do, right? Same with over here. The price is only going to return to the baseline or it's going to form a new baseline. There's nothing else the price can actually do. So looking at this, you think, okay, well, that's nice and close to the baseline. I'm prepared to let the price run to the baseline. Again, we at a fib level, very contentious little point over here. But it's not out of the question that it's only 13 ticks away from the baseline. There's a baseline, boom. And we've got nice confirmation from our other two charts over here. And that's over here too. You might say, okay, well, what do I want to do here? Do I feel like entering a trade to sell over here to the next baseline? That's like, so these type of charts you can look at too, and you can make decisions based on this, but using your signal chart. Yeah, so I'm glad that worked out. We did enter one position over here. There was a very low, like I said, it was a very low possibility one with like a 50%. But when you're looking at more charts, when you're looking at more confirmation like this, and if this is working out beautifully for you, like if these two charts are working out for you and they're showing you accurate signals, there's no need to go and rerun the strategy analyzer as long as they are keeping you ahead. And that's where we are right now. Cool. Okay, I'm glad it ended on that, just to show, at least one successful trade using this scalping system, and, using the benefits of our signal chart, which is giving us the coloring of the bars. I mean, the coloring of the bars alone is absolutely phenomenal. You've got, you had a few things over there that were contributing to the accuracy of this trade. And that's it. Okay, guys, thank you so much for jumping on the call. I hope you got a little bit of value out of that. It's so important to just find a combination of tools. And, you might look at this and think, oh, crap, I don't want to, this is too complicated or whatever. Well, come up with your own combination. We've got such a huge suite of tools over here that any specific type of trader can actually take advantage of it. And, you know, you just got to find a little system or a little approach that like fits in nicely with you. And, you know, it might be the case of, you know, some of you might decide, you know, I only want to trade the baselines, like the flat and trending baseline. Well, that's also a good approach. You know, you, instead of having these two charts at the bottom, you could have a flat and trending baseline and decide, okay, which one are you going to target, you know? So there's all these different approaches that can be used, but definitely as a starting point, your signal chart should be the foundation of, you know, where you are entering positions, because that should be your primary instrument or your primary chart to say, you know, I'm entering now because of this. I'm entering now because of that breakout marker left behind, or this marker left behind, or this coloring change, you know, in the bars. And, you know, if you just apply those simple techniques, don't enter too many trades, you know, don't go crazy and enter a huge amount of contracts, but rather scale in. Like you see over there, I had one contract, you know, it hit a loss. You know, the next trade, I'm going to enter 2 contracts. Don't go enter 5 contracts or 10 contracts. So just scale nicely into it so that you're not overwhelming your trading. You're not panicking what's happening. And then you're using some really good criteria of, you know, targets. Baselines are an amazing place for targets. I mean, we saw how that played out beautifully over here on the flat baseline. I mean, because at the end of the day, price is only going to do one of 2 things. It's either going to go back to the baseline or form a new baseline. So already there, you got 50% in your favor, like immediately. And then you're using your signal charts and you're using a few other little tools to help you. Hey guys, thank you so much for jumping on the call, and have a fantastic week. Please continue posting your results. And I would love to see some people posting screenshots of what they've been able to do on this chart template. And I'm actually going to save this chart template exactly like it looks now, save it to the script. So if you run the script in a few minutes, even with NinjaTrader open, you'll be able to load this exact template that I'm looking at now and, you know, use it. Okay, thanks guys. Have a good one and cheers.